Hi everyone, it's me, Lori Ann Spagna. Welcome and thank you for being here. I just want to give you a brief moment of talking about the 4 ways we give our power away. I think this would be really, really helpful to understand. It's the 4 areas of life where the key areas where we typically give our power away. And these are also the areas where we get our greatest learning from. The first area is typically with materialistic possession and money. Money and all forms of wealth, all forms of materialism. So in the material world, we could easily identify it as money, but it's also stuff, physical items. This is a great example of this is hoarders and people who collect things, and those of us who get attached to our stuff. I know right now I'm in the process of relocating, and I'm literally cleaning out my house, and I'm witnessing myself and my attachments to my stuff. And part of Ascension is definitely the experience of releasing our attachments to physical items and shifting out of seeing and giving our power to physical stuff, including money, and all forms of wealth and materialism. Those things in the new paradigm will become less and less important to us, but it does really require us to really understand how to reclaim our power from them and what we need to do to reclaim that power. So, I know as I'm cleaning out my house in the process of relocating, moving, packing everything up, what to keep, what to discard, what to give away, that is a really empowering thing I'm doing right now. And it's amazing how it can be translated when we start reclaiming this power, how it changes our life. For example, for me, one of the things, it's very easy to translate it to weight loss, dropping pounds. So that's a great example of reclaiming power from the stuff. Also, all of the emotional connection to the stuff is reclaiming power when we work with this in a conscious way. So I obviously have a lot more to say on this topic, but I want to get to the other 3 key areas. And I'll just insert here before I move to the next 3 key areas. This is what we're going to be working on in my upcoming webinar, which is listed on my website under group. It's under live events. It's a webinar called Reclaiming Your Personal Power, Calling Back Your True Divine Power and Potency. And that live event is coming up. It's by webinar, Saturday, March 14th and Saturday, March 21st. Of course, I would love to have you join me because this is so important. But this is a perfect example of weight, body weight, and health, how our physical items translate in our life. Yes, hoarders or people who collect things, or those of us who have way more materialistic stuff than we need, or those of us who perceive ourselves to not have enough or to be in lack, to feel like we don't have enough money or we don't know how to make money. All of that is linked to our sense of our personal power. And we'll be going over this in this webinar. So I'm inviting you to join me on it. It's March 14th and March 21st, Reclaiming Your Personal Power. The physical items is just the first of 4 that I'm discussing right now, but we'll be going into this, we'll unpack it. We'll be looking at the problems and especially the solutions for us on how to reclaim our power regarding these physical items, materialism and money. It works in both directions is what I'm saying, like the lack and the limitation, the not enoughness, and the I have so much. All of that is rooted in fear, anxiety, and worry, and our sense of value, worth. Where do we put our value and worth, and where do we give our power? What do we give our power to? So needless to say, that's the first of the four areas: materialism, money, wealth. And this is linked into all these other factors, and it can translate to some of the examples I've given: body weight, getting healthy. It's amazing that this is all connected, but everything is connected. And when we start getting into it, we get to reclaim our personal power. So again, I'd love for you to join me for this webinar, this 2-week webinar, and you can find it under live events on my website, lorispagna.com, under the group healing and training events. You can find the link there and register to join us for this 2-week seminar. Right now, there's still an opportunity to save $100 when you register today. All right, let's get to the second area where we give our power away. So the second area is physical health issues. So if you're a person who struggles with any form of health-related issue, weakness in the body, or perhaps any form of dis-ease in the body, you may easily think that it's normal to get sick, or to have these things. We've been taught in our society that it's normal. We've been taught that it's normal to get sick. We've been taught that it's normal to have disease. I mean, our whole media teaches us that it's normal to have disease. And to get sick in our body. Like, all of the commercials teach us that. But I want to just say that the actual truth of it is it's not normal. It's not normal to get sick. It's not normal to have disease in the body. I mean, pharmaceutical drug industry would love for us to believe it is normal and that they're the solution. I can tell you they're not the solution. Many of us are waking up to this reality. Like, pharmaceutical drug industry is a money-making industry designed to keep people sick for their financial gain, not designed to help people get healthy. But nonetheless, we give our power away to our own body, thinking that sickness is normal, disease is normal. If you have weight issues, for example, body weight issues, you have given your power away to your body. And those weight issues are waiting for you to reclaim your power from them. Your body is a vehicle of communication, asking you to learn, to make change, to transform the experience. So in order for you to do that, of course, for all of us, we have to get into our own unconscious, and we have to get into the energy field of our own awakening patterns. So that means we would be reclaiming our power by doing that. We have to start working with that which we've been unconscious of, all the ways we give our power to our bodies. So no matter what your dis-ease is, weakness, tiredness, repeating patterns of getting sick, issues related to viruses, the fear of, if you're struggling with the virus issues that's plaguing the earth right now, carnovirus, whatever, if those issues are showing up in your world. I remember my ex-husband, he used to get sick all the time. All the time. He was always getting sick. And I remember thinking, even back then, that was a lot of years ago, he didn't have to get sick all the time. But it was his unconscious stuff. And he wasn't having any of that at that time. He wasn't going to listen to me about that. But there's these ways that we give our power to our body. Certainly weight. I know for me, I worked with weight issues a lot in this lifetime. And I see how my weight has significantly dropped and stabilized as I've reclaimed my power. And now I know I no longer live with fear of body weight issues. And I feel very empowered about being able to eat what I want, and know that if I feel at any point out of alignment with my weight, I can easily restore myself to balance with my own body, because I've reclaimed so much of my power in this area. So when we learn to do that, we reclaim our power over our own body and health challenges. And we come into a more divine unity with our own physical bodies, our health, and our experience of our body. By the way, that also includes sex-related issues. If there's any form of addiction to cigarettes, that could overlap in the physical, right? Cigarettes or alcohol or drugs or any form of addiction to spending and money, spending and things, that could overlap in the other area I just mentioned, but it also can overlap in the body, right? If it's an addiction to food, alcohol, any kind of substance that we put in our body, drugs, sugar, all of that is a way we give our power away, yes, to the material, because those are material things, but also to our physical body-related issues. So sex addiction or pornography addiction, or even on the other end of the spectrum, sexual shame, embarrassment over the body or shame of the body, or shame of sex, or shame of sexual desire, or even embarrassment about masturbation or sexual pleasure. All of those are ways we give our power away to our body-related issues. So those are, when we work with this in a very conscious way, we are able to reclaim that and come back into unity with our own body and a new healthy way of living with our body and with all these aspects, because it's all linked to our own giving our power away and at the same time reclaiming our true, real, and authentic personal power and calling back our true divine power and potency, which is within us, but we must do the work. So again, I'll just reference, that's part of why I'm talking about this, because I know this right now is content and service and contribution that I'm giving to help people. But for those of you who want to dig deeper and really get into this with someone who can help guide you and provide energy healing, and of course there will be channeled information for the group, this is one of the ways I would like to add value to your world, because this has been such a game changer for me in my life, in changing my life. And in the clients that I've worked with, it has changed their lives. And I know for so many people out there, we're struggling with these issues. So that's why I'm making this webinar, so we can dig deeper and really get into it. So again, I'll just reference that webinar. It's at lauriespagna.com under the live events tab. When you click on group healing and training events, you'll be able to join us for way more than I can possibly cover here. You don't have to be there live, by the way. It's recorded video webinar, and you'll get the recordings and you'll be able to download them and access them. They will be video. And of course, so I would love to have you join me live for this. And even if you can't be there live, you get the recordings and you can still ask questions. You know, you can ask the questions and we'll cover them for you. You'll get the support that you've been looking for. And this is so affordable. Like, this is the most affordable I can make it for the most number of people and still cover my own expenses and be able to continue to do this work. Since we still live in a reality where we have not reclaimed our power from money, and therefore we're still operating in a reality where money is required. So, okay, let's get on to the third area. The third area of life where we give away our power, and this is, I think, one of the hugest areas, well, they're all huge, right, is relationships. So relationship mostly to other people, bosses, colleagues, family members, husbands, wives, spouses, children, parents, family members, friends, in-laws, neighbors, if you have problems with neighbors. I've helped a lot of my clients with neighbor issues because I had to live through a lot of that in the years when I lived in Los Angeles many years ago. I had some really horrible neighbors and I had to learn really how to reclaim my power from neighbors. And I mean, they were horrible neighbors, don't get me wrong. They were really aggressive. That was one of my issues, dealing with aggressive, abusive bullies. Bullies. If you've ever had a bully in your life, I had bully neighbors, and I really had to learn how to reclaim my power from neighbors. And that overlapped with how to reclaim my power from bullies. And I mean, I had bullies growing up in my life. Many of us have. And if you've had anyone bully you, and it can show up in the form of colleagues, coworkers, family members, it can show up in the form of any human relationship you have. Bullies is just one example. You can have relationships with people who make you feel small or little, reject you. You can have relationships with people who make you feel inferior. You can have relationships with people where you feel like you can't fix problems without them. Those are another example of giving your power away. So you can have relationships with people where you feel as though you're entangled with them. In fact, next week I'll be releasing a video on my YouTube channel about freeing yourself from entanglement and entangled relationships. It's going to be a great video. It's already done. I'm just waiting for my video person to edit it, but it's a great example of how relationships can ensnarl us. And of course, anytime you have any relationship with anyone that's causing you any form of upset, bosses, friends, coworkers, siblings, spouses, neighbors, on and on, that means the power struggle, whether it's a power struggle of some kind, which it usually is, or, bullying is a perfect example of power struggle. If you have a narcissistic family member, I grew up in an extremely narcissistic family with a lot of bullying in the family, and I had witnessed myself over the years reclaim my power. And, as a light worker or a healer, someone who's awakening, in the process of reclaiming our power, we go through a lot of struggle. And people don't like it when you reclaim your power. They fight you and resist you, and you get entangled with them. These are all examples of how we give our power away. And then, by the way, this will also overlap into the body area. For example, if you have weight around your middle section of your body, weight around the middle section, your middle section is your third chakra. That's your power, personal power center. That means to some degree you're giving your power away. So this is what this webinar is about, is reclaiming your power, right? So that overlaps with the body, but it also overlaps with relationships. Now, obviously, any relationship issue in the external world, maybe it's not obvious, is a relationship issue with the self, our own self. So in this third category where we're talking about relationships with others, it does also include our relationship with ourselves. And of course, this is linked in once again to self-worth, self-value, self-love, self-care, how we self-nourish, how we honor ourselves, and of course, others too. Reclaiming our power in relationships is one of the most challenging areas of life, because everyone that exists in the external world is a reflection of the relationship we have with ourselves. To resolve this and reclaim our power, we have to work in a very conscious and deliberate way with ourselves. So, needless to say, once again, if we want to improve our relationships with others, we must also improve our relationship with ourselves. And through reclamation of our own power, we can do this. And that's, again, why I'm doing this webinar. So, by the way, when we're talking about relationships, this does include external authorities. So when we allow, for example, an authority to tell us something is true, for example, an authority to say something's happening in the Middle East, and we see that on the news and we believe that that's happening, or that there's this terrible virus that's spreading all around the world, and we believe that that's happening, we are giving our power to them. We believe that what they're telling us is true, whether it's the media or some other external authority telling us something is true, that we're not really there for one-on-one direct witnessing. We're giving our power away to that external authority. So every time we let an authority tell us something is true, that's another form of giving our power away. And that's an example of how relationships, we give our power in relationships. So if any authority figure, it's not just an individual, it's groups, media. You've heard me, if you've listened to any of the other previous calls I've done on this, media, pharmaceutical drug industries, the doctor. If the doctor tells you something and you believe that doctor, and you haven't done any research, or you don't necessarily know, or you haven't considered other factors, you're giving your power to your authority. If the doctor says, well, this is how much time you have left, or this is deadly, or this cannot be cured, herpes cannot be cured, that's the doctor telling you something that's not really true. But the doctor believes it, and so because he has a credential, you believe it. Herpes can be cured. In fact, there's a cure for everything. Every disease I know as a healer has a cure. And there's a cure for every disease. But medical institution doesn't know that, so we have been trained to give our power to doctors. Another example is quitting cigarettes is not hard. It's not hard, but the cigarette industry wants you to believe that it's hard. Okay, they've made it harder. They've made all kinds of addictions, things going into the cigarettes. They have actually made it harder, but it's not hard to quit cigarettes. It's actually really easy. But we've given our power to that authority and to that physical item. So again, this is stuff we'll be working on. I'm just giving a few examples here in less than a half an hour, and I want to get to the fourth area. So I can't go into it more, but we'll be diving deep into this during this upcoming webinar on how to reclaim our power. And again, I'll just reference it. It's at LoriSpagna.com under the Live Events tab, under Group Healing and Training Events, like really how to reclaim our personal power. We'll be going into this in depth. I'm going to be giving you real tools that you will be able to live and use. Oh my God, the most amazing, powerful, and effective tools for reclaiming your power from people, places, things, authorities, even your own physical health-related issues, and money and materialism. Now, I want to go to the fourth area, but I just want to remind you that you can go to there and register. I hope you will be joining us, because obviously I do this. This is public service, but I can't spend the amount of time with you one-on-one and answer your questions unless we're in a group webinar. That's going to be a 2-week, 2-hour, and we usually go a little over for the Q&A webinar, and we will be bringing in the channeled information from the higher realm to help us, angels, benevolence, masters, teachers, loved ones, our own group collective of those who show up. What happens is our group forms a collective, and that collective is what I will channel through. Guidance for our unique individual group will be directly channeled through. And of course, we'll be able to help support you in answering your questions directly. So please join us for this live 2-week webinar where you'll get the one-on-one in a group dynamic support that you need. And we will be doing healing. So there'll be meditation, healing, channeling, and Q&A. All right, so let's get to the fourth area, and then I'll start to wrap this up because I want to try to keep it up, within a half an hour for your benefit so you can listen and still move on with the rest of your day. The fourth area is to the spiritual. We give our power away to God. We don't realize it. And I would include in this science, because science has become a new religion for those who are atheists. And they will only believe, like my ex-husband used to say all the time, I will only believe it if it's proven scientifically. And there was like no convincing him. That was like part of the reason we divorced, because he was just so unwilling to move beyond his limited beliefs. And I was growing, and our relationship had hit an area where I could not give my power to that smallness anymore. And he was unwilling to advance his own power beyond the limitations of science. So he gave all his power to science. He would not believe anything that was not first scientifically proven. But of course, we as creators are creating in the non-physical realm. And as enough of us created in the non-physical realm, it comes into the physical world. We make it real and manifest it, and then science finds the evidence of it. That's the way science works. A scientist may not believe that, but that is the way it works. A quantum physicist knows that's the way it works. So, okay, we give our power away to the spiritual and the science. In other words, if we're not spiritual beings, if we are atheists, it would be science. It still falls under that fourth category of we give our power to an external higher power. So this so-called higher power, even in Al-Anon and AA, they use that languaging. I am powerless over alcohol. They've given their power away to alcohol. That's an early example. But they give their power to this higher power, and they can name it anything they want. And that's okay. I'm not judging it. I'm just pointing out. They give their power to this, whatever this higher power is. And for them, it could be nature. I was in Al-Anon for 12 years or 15 years. I loved Al-Anon. It's a wonderful tool. All the 12 steps, the 12-step, AA family groups are fabulous tools. But at a certain point, you have to start reclaiming your power. Or you don't have to, but you will. If you're like me, I came to realize that it was too limiting, because I was having to continue to say I'm powerless, where I started to realize, no, I do have power. I actually have much more power, and I don't want to give my power away anymore. So another great example of the spiritual is if you have ever been raised or participated in any religion at all. Every organized religion that exists, bar none, teaches that there is an external authority. That is either God or Buddha or Muhammad or Allah or Krishna. They all have an external authority. Even Course in Miracles is largely still recognizing that there is external authority, an external God. And I'm not disagreeing that there is an external source. There is. However, it is at one with us. That's what atonement, at one means. That's what oneness means. It means coming into unity with the external divine in recognition that we are at one with it. But no organized religion teaches that. All organized religion is teaching an external authority that has power over you. And it does, to limited degrees, teach you to pray to it or meditate with it in some of the, Buddhism and Taoism type, Taoism, many of those philosophies and religions do teach to unify with it, but it's still, to a greater extent, teaching external authority. So we give our power away to it. Look, we give our power away to angels. Many people, I remember years ago telling my sister that I would argue with my divine team of angels and benevolence, and she was in so much judgment of me for that. Who does that? Who argues with your angels? What I've learned, I don't argue with them anymore, because now I'm not as wired in to argument. In fact, to a large degree, I've cleared that as I've taken back my power. But my point is that anyone who's reclaiming their power is at some point going to have challenges with these higher beings because you're reclaiming your power from them. And it's not necessarily argument, but there is points where you're like questioning and desiring to know higher truth. And if you're like me, I work so much with the non-physical realm. That's where I extract the bulk of my information and energy. I'm having discussion, and sometimes when things aren't making mistakes or aren't making sense, or I'm working through an issue, that's what's happening. But for someone who gives their power to them, you could never imagine that, because I'm saying you, but a person like that would only perceive that they are somehow superior to us. In fact, nothing could be further from the truth. They are not superior to us. We are not superior to them either. They are aspects of all that is, and aspects of the field. So we're not meant to give our power to angels or other benevolence in the non-physical world. In fact, many people do give their power to Jesus, which is why Jesus is one of the most powerful beings in a sense. And Jesus is a real being in the non-physical, ascended master, regardless of what any organized religion may have claimed power. This is just, he's powerful because so many people have given their power to him. He just doesn't use it in a harmful or detrimental way over anyone ever, because he is a true master. So this is true of many ascended masters. We've given our power to these non-physical beings. Of course, religion is a great example, because we've given our power anytime we feel shame, guilt, regret, remorse, like we feel we've sinned. We judge and condemn ourselves and others. All forms of judgment of ourselves or others are forms of giving our power away. If we're judging another, it's because we're out of alignment with the divine somewhere, or with a higher perspective or higher, lighter, pure frequency of love and acceptance. So these are ways we give our power away. Now, if we're judging, for example, or if we are carrying shame or guilt or resentment or grief, sadness, like all of these things, these emotional issues that we may have, those are pain, those are sadness, those are forms of suffering, various forms of suffering. We are giving our power away. So it could equally be said, and this is just an extension, that part of giving our power away could even be to our own emotional and mental body. That's part of relationship with self. I would put that in that category. But those are forms of giving our power away, and we suffer. We are suffering because of that. We are suffering because of these things. And we're experiencing great pain in our lives because of these things. So we're giving our power away to all of these four areas. We suffer when we don't understand the divine within us. And we give our power away to any form of imbalance or out of misalignment with the divine. That's the fourth area, right? Also in this category, of course, I would place where we have to do tarot cards or any form of pulling cards every day. Even using cards, in a way, it's certainly any of the decks, oracle card decks, it's not necessarily giving our power away. We're using it to reclaim our power, but there's a time and an aspect of it energetically where it may become a crutch, or we need it so much because we're looking for some form of prediction. Astrology is another example. I mean, astrology is a great example. We want to look for what we're afraid of so we can be prepared of maybe the unknown. That's in this fourth category of how we give our power away, instead of really claiming our right and power to create, not from a place of trying to find out what the future might have using our astrology or our tarot or our oracle card decks. Those are not the worst tools, I get it, in the scheme of things. It's just that it's how we are interacting with them and how we are using them And are they actually, where does the point come where we are letting them dictate to us our reality rather than us impressing upon them what our reality will be and using them in a way that is hopeful and beneficial rather than us coming from a place of fear or anxiety or worry or old paradigm belief systems. If you've ever been in a cult or you've ever known anyone who has, witchcraft is another example. There's black magic, there's white magic. Those are all forms of things that would fit into this fourth category. If you've ever, had known anyone who has had cult-like behavior or been influenced by cults, those are, if there's groups where they start mental masturbating on you, like I've been in some of these groups myself where they start analyzing you into the ground and you get into this looping pattern with trying to figure it all out. That's another way we give our power away. Looping patterns, mental masturbation, overthinking, and yes, emotional entanglement with stuff that upsets us. And then we start, another example of this is like we get codependent on another person, group, place, authority. These are all ways we give our power away. So I really elaborated on this, but those are the 4 key areas of life where we give our power away most. And in order to really reclaim our power, we have to really address not only these areas, but how it affects us on very deep, intimate, personal levels. And we have to realize the energetics of this on so many levels and layers of our bodies and beings. So I've offered this as a gift, and I will also do my best to get this on YouTube as well, because I think there's great content in here. I went a little bit over time. I wanted to keep it to 30 minutes, but if you feel that this resonates for you, I would love, love, love for you to join us. I want to say one of the things that frustrates me is when people, I love hearing from you and I love reading your comments. I'm so grateful for your listening and for you being part of my community. My challenge is when people ask me for one-on-one support. I want to help you so much. I see people leaving me comments like, can you help me with this? Can you help me find my dog? Can you help me? And by the way, losing your animal or your animal getting sick, that means we've also given our power away. And our animals are, of course, they're suffering because of us when they get sick or when they get lost, when they get harmed. It's because we've been giving our power away and the animal's trying to help us. So for those of you who are animal lovers, they get affected by it, of course. So taking this course will help your animals too, and your children and your family. All your family relationships, I can guarantee you, will be improved. Your relationship with yourself, your spiritual relationship with the divine will be improved. Of course, your money and materialism issues, they will be improved. You will benefit from this. You will come into new alignment with your own prosperity and wealth. This is just a natural byproduct of doing this kind of inner work. And of course, your health will, to some degree, depending on how much you work with this, will improve, including weight-related issues and other areas of the physical body. This is the benefits of doing this kind of work. This is why it's important. In any case, where I was going with that was, as we reclaim our power, our body, our family members, our animal companions, it all benefits. Everything in life benefits, but it's up to us to do the inner work. It's not a passive thing. So this is my way of being of service. And the challenge, what I was saying is that when people write to me, and they ask me through email for help, like someone just recently wrote and asked, I did your healing meditation that was free on YouTube. I benefited so much. I got so much healing. And unfortunately, after that, I went out into the world and all these people started to attack me. What do I do? And my short answer is join this webinar, because I can't write to you a 2-page email to give you what you need. I can't. I don't have that amount of time for all the inquiries I get. And people on Facebook will write me notes and I mean, I can't even look at sidebars, but people will ask, like, what do I do about this issue? Or how do I get better about this issue? These are the issues that we're talking about here. And I just want to say it so breaks my heart that I can't help everybody in one-on-ones and that I can't write back long-winded emails to help every person. But this is how I be of service. This is how I am putting it out there to support those who are ready to receive the support and reclaim their power. And those of you who are ready, I'm inviting you because I know that this work is truly transformational. It is not a pill. It doesn't happen in 30 seconds, but it really does work, and it changes your life for the better in all areas of your life, because your personal power affects all the major areas of your life. And so this is why I'm inviting you. And I hope you will join me and participate, because I can really help and support you here. We will get into this. We will unpack it. We will dive in, and we will come up with the true solutions that are really required for your ascension, for your awakening, and for your up-leveling, and for your reclamation of your own personal power. So this is only one teeny part of the webinar. I am not going to repeat this stuff really on the webinar. I'm going to give this call to everyone who participates on the webinar so that they can enjoy it and benefit from it. So they'll be able to own this and work with it, because this, what I just gave, has real content, great content in it. But let's go deeper, because this in and of itself is not the solution. The solution is to go into the unconscious, to heal, to resolve, to clear, to really resolve, and to give you the tools that you need going forward. And that just takes way more time than I have here. So that's why that is at least a 4-hour webinar. Plus, you will get your questions answered. You will get to have one-on-one interaction with me, which I can only do through a webinar. I can only answer these one-on-one questions in a group dynamic like this. This is how I make myself available to you and how I be of service. So please do join me. Once again, you go over to LoriSpagna.com. Under the Live Events tab, go to the Group Healing and Training Events link and join us for reclaiming your personal power, calling back your true divine power and potency. You will get the recording. You do not have to be there live. You will be able to submit questions even if you're not able to be there live. It is by video, but you don't have to be on video. I'll be on video, so it's just nice for you guys to interact that way and to see me that way, and we get to interact in a real personal level that way. Saturday, March 14th, Saturday, March 21st, 2 hours plus a little over probably for the Q&A. It will include meditation, healing, channeling, and direct Q&A with me. Right now, there is still $100 savings. I cannot guarantee that by the time you listen to the $100 savings will be there, because right now it's without notice, it will go up to $297. The reason for that is that I have a tech person who's been on maternity, paternity leave and is part-time back now, and I can't guarantee the moment or the day he will get to the update on the website. It's on his to-do list during a particular window of time. So I don't know exactly what day, and I can't make that guarantee. So if you're ready, join us now, save the $100. It will go up. I look forward to sharing this information and energy and healing and getting into the rich, deep, juicy solutions and tools to support you and assist you on your ascension journey as you reclaim your personal power and come into union and unity and atonement at one-ment with the divine that you are, and call back your true divine power and potency. Please join us. It's all at LoriSpagna.com. Under the Live Events tab, click on Group Healing and Training Events, and you will see this webinar there. I look forward to having you join me. I am so grateful for you and for your fellowship, your friendship, our community. I am thinking of you all the time. I'm thinking these days all the time, how can I add more value to their lives and improve their lives and support them, my community, my tribe on their ascension journey? This was one of the things that the Divine really literally asked me. It said, this is what people need. Bring this forward and it will be really glorious what comes forward. You will be amazed yourself, Lori. And so I'm excited about it. I'm thrilled for it, and I am thrilled to have you join me with it during this. So thank you again so much. I love you so much, and I will see you, I hope, on the first time for the first class on March 14th, and then again Saturday, March 21st. All right, guys. Love you so much. All my love. Okay. Bye-bye.